The following is a production of Handed Down Sports Media. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to step onto the ice for some Biscuits and Penalties, off-season edition. I am your starting goaltender, Cobra, and I am joined by the legend himself, Emperor NOOT himself, Chris Salaman. Hello.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Yep, and the Stanley Cup, because, of course, Chris, our friendly Emperor of NOOT City, is a Florida Panthers fan. He bleeds Florida man, even though he lives in Texas.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
And I
thank
did
you.
forget about you, Kat. I'm sorry, you're here as well.
You forgot
I'm here
about
in the
me?
background. How you doing,
I
everybody?
forgot you and Tyler were joining in.
I'm not actually in the recording. I'm actually behind the scenes, so I don't know if the recording will hear. The recording's not going to hear me.
Gotcha. Well, the off-season did happen, not gonna lie. So let us talk. First off, congratulations to the Florida Panthers. That's the big one. And of course, there was a little bit of fallout. Seems like the Edmonton Oilers decided to clear out. Mainly, they are not going to renew. It's responsible gambler not Shohei Ohtani, but Evander Kane. Excuse me. I am in baseball mode. I am in baseball mode. Excuse me. But yes, famous responsible gambler Evander Kane is no longer going to be an Edmonton Oiler.
Decision by the Oilers?
Pretty much. However, famous women respecter Patrick Kane is still on the Red Wings.
They just don't learn.
Oh, no, they don't.
And quite honestly, I don't know how much the teams care because they bring in money and attention.
It's all about star power, Kat. It's all about star power.
Yeah.
But we definitely had some big names go in free agency. But I will say this, Sam Bennett is definitely off the free agent market. He is staying a Florida Panther, so that's a good thing. Chris, you want to respond to that?
He called the shot at the nightclub. I mean, he basically said, I ain't leaving.
Exactly. He's staying a Panther.
He's staying a Panther. There's still Ekblad and Marchand, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Ekblad, we don't know. However, there were some very interesting trades that did just happen. Primarily, John Gibson is no longer a Duck. He was traded to the Detroit Red Wings for Peter Mrazek and a couple of late-round picks.
All part of the Yzer plan.
That is... Yeah. Well, I think to be fair, the Red Wings didn't really have good goaltending, to be fair. The Red Wings needed a star in net, and also John Gibson needed a fresh start. That's simple enough. In other good news as well, the Toronto Maple Lass, the gift that keeps on giving, is at least keeping one member of the original core four, and that is John Tavares on a very good cap-friendly deal. It was like a 4x4 type of deal. 4 years, $4 million, very cap-friendly. Considering last year he made like $10 million per year.
That's insane to me that these guys are making that kind of money.
Well, to be fair, these athletes, realistically, they don't have health insurance because they have, and these players, they suffer through many injuries, broken legs, broken arms, ACL tears, MCL tears. Another thing that happened during free agency was there was another trade. The Duck it happened with the Ducks again. And I predicted this in Biscuits and Penalties earlier this season, is that Trevor Zegras needed a fresh start. And I predicted he would go to the Flyers. Because it happened with, because a player like Trevor Zegras, sometimes you need a fresh start. And it just seems that whenever the Ducks have a player like that, I'm talking about, similar to Joffrey Lupul, and Zegras plays like Lupul, the Flyers are almost a good fit for players like him. There's also an interesting rumor mill, and I'm pretty sure he's upset about it. Apparently, Sidney Crosby is rumored to be on the move from the Penguins.
That's not happening.
I know that name.
Yes. Yep. Sidney Crosby is apparently, according to some rumors I've seen, he's on the market. And that motherfucker better not leave the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins got the Super Bowl.
Stupid Yinzer.
Even the Yinzer had to chime in.
We get a new lock for him, please. Or a new lock for your door.
Every time.
Friggin' time.
Every time, I swear. He just manages to seep in. It's bad enough. It's bad enough we have to deal with a gremlin that is obsessed with gay people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We love you, Izzy, but still.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Cat is just. I am being ruined.
How do I put up with you? How?
And how does Chris put up with me? I'm in his Discord server.
I'm used to it. I'm used to the Cobra shenanigans. Cobra's doing his shenanigans.
That must be it.
Nah, but the Yinzer always has to
my
put his
shenanigans are good.
Cobra, the Yinzer always has to put his 2 cents in.
Of course,
Apparently.
it always smells like it always has a weird smell too, like
beer.
Iron City.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I mean, that's what happens when you're still trying to pay off Ben Roethlisberger's bar tab. Oh, I'm sorry. Famous women respecter Ben Roethlisberger.
There you go.
Excuse me.
So I have a question. I heard that. Oh my gosh, the guy's name just went out of my head. Why does that happen to me on the hockey podcast? The guy who broke the shooting record.
I'm talking about Ovechkin. You're talking about Ovechkin.
Thank you.
Yeah. It is his last year this year, this upcoming season.
That's what I thought. And the Capitals, I thought they said that they weren't going to change like their core players. I thought I read that somewhere, but I wasn't sure how.
I don't think they're gonna change. They're definitely gonna have to replace TJ Oshie because he retired. They're definitely not getting rid of Tom Wilson because he lives rent free in Rangers fans' head. Suck it, James Dolan. Sell the teams. Get out of Madison Square Garden, James Dolan. You fuck.
I wish you would tell us what you really thought, Cobra. I wish you would let it all out.
I wish you could step back from that ledge, my friend, and we'll get copyright claim for that. Better not do that again.
Copyright. We do not own the rights to that song.
No, we don't. There we
go.
But
CYA.
Yep. But that's look. I knew the Capitals weren't going to change their core because they have a lot of young talent and they have a lot of veterans and they have some veterans that are on their way out. So why change it if that makes sense?
Wasn't their age spread like 25 years or not 25? Well, I guess that included the coaches, but there was like some crazy.
It was because of Oshie and Ovechkin. There was a bit of an age spread out. The Capitals were pretty much like the Red Wings of old.
I honestly think that teams do better when they've got a core group of guys that are more experienced. I'm not going to say older.
I was about to say that's how the Panthers won back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers won back-to-back. They had playoff warriors, people who had been there, championship winners, and young guys who could keep not only the old guys motivated, but who could also basically still keep pressure off the old guys too.
Well, so they didn't have to work harder. Them.
Yes,
they learn some etiquette stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
which that's me being old fashioned, but the older guys kind of teaching the younger guys the ropes, and I've always liked teams like that. I've always liked the teams that can have that spread and kind of help the next generation of players, so to speak.
Right. And I'm going to say this, I don't think there's anything wrong with what the Florida Panthers did these past few seasons. Because to be fair, even though the Florida Panthers have been back-to-back Eastern Conference champion and back-to-back Stanley Cup champions as well, you know, you got to understand where this team came from. You know, this is an expansion team in '93. This was a, you know, and this was a team in the early and mid 2000s in the doldrums. You know, I mean, Chris, I guarantee you suffered through the coaching terror of Mike Keenan.
Oh my God!
Did
Don't bring up that name. Do not bring up that name. Bringing up Mike Keenan to me is like bringing up whoever that Dolphins. Bringing up Jimmy Johnson to my dad.
Really, you're comparing Jimmy Johnson to Mike Keenan? Wow. Okay.
You cannot say that name.
To be fair, I don't blame you. My dad still hates Jimmy Johnson to this day, not just because of the Dallas Cowboys, but because of, you know, what he did in front of Doug Flutie.
What did he do in front of Doug Flutie?
So when Doug Flutie was in, getting a little off topic here, but when Doug Flutie was in Buffalo, he had a cereal, Flutie Flakes, and proceeds of Flutie Flakes went to the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation, which funds autism research. So Jimmy Johnson, after beating Doug Flutie, had a box of Flutie Flakes in front of him, and he punched the shit out of it.
Weird.
In front of Doug Flutie.
Weird.
Wow. Weird.
Like that's just that etiquette stuff I was talking about.
Yeah. And well, I mean, Jimmy Johnson has since apologized for that incident, but the point still stands: is that was classless, even back then. I mean, you know, I don't care if it was for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
Keenan just set the Panthers back probably a decade after trading Luongo and all those, just for Todd Bertuzzi only played like 7 games.
And didn't he trade Roberto Luongo for Alex Auld?
Yes, Alex Auld, Todd Bertuzzi, and I think a draft pick. And Alex Auld was okay, but
because I think
Todd Bertuzzi was only there for like 7 games, and then he got injured.
Yeah, I remember Todd Bertuzzi was only there for a cup of coffee, and Alex Auld, you know, is primarily known nowadays for his mocap efforts in the NHL games. Like, I'm not kidding. In the NHL games, that's Alex Auld as the goalie mocap.
Wow. Didn't know that.
No, now you know. But yeah, it's amazing.
You need the star. Now you know.
Burn, burn, burn. If only our editing was a little bit better. We're still rookies at this.
We're getting there. We will get there.
And other things I wanted to bring up during the off season while we have Chris here. Since Chris is, you know, obviously the champion, I do want to know what'd you think of this season? What are your expectations for next season? What's the plan? What's the plan moving forward?
I mean, I'm still like, sometimes I can't even get over that we won the first one, you know, because I was always used to the Panthers being mediocre, the empty seats, the tickets being given away at just about anywhere just to get people to come to the game. And now back-to-back champion. I mean, I hope they could. It's a whole different story. I hope they could re-sign at least Marchand and Ekblad, but, you know, that's wishful thinking regarding that. Moving forward, I mean, they will still contend. They are still a favorite. How far can they go? We'll have to wait and see until next year. Right now, we gotta take it one step at a time. I know Panther fans are now coming up in numbers, and we got a lot of haters, but that's a lot of salty Toronto Maple Leafs fans who have enough salt to keep the streets of Toronto free of snow, at least for the next 100 years.
They have more salt than Yinzers.
That's saying something.
Yes. As I'm gonna add to what you said there, Chris. You know, adding to what I was saying about that you lived through the Mike Keenan era. Basically, the Florida Panthers for a long time they've had this gap Like they had, the success of 1996, where they made it to the Stanley Cup final and got swept by the Colorado Avalanche, which, I mean, that Avalanche team was fucking loaded with Hall of Famers. Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, Patrick Waugh in net, so, against, a team that was pretty much coming off the connective tissue that was their expansion year. They still had, quality goaltending in John Van Beesbrook, but it was like, they had Scott Mellenby, but it was, it was still, they weren't there yet. You could tell there was something there. There were bits and pieces there, and then it's like everything then started to fall apart like a graham cracker in milk. Because I could rattle off some goaltenders that stopped off before Bobrovsky. You had there was Kevin Weeks in there.
Mhm.
You had Trevor Kidd. You had Ed Belfour. I think Steve Shields was there for a cup of coffee. Mike Vernon was there for like a game or two. Yeah, like I said, yeah, seriously, yeah, a game or two. Apparently, like the Panthers had Mike Richter on contract, but like he retired because of concussions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the reason why Mike Richter hasn't slept on the pads in a while. Let's see,
That's a
what
really
else?
good reason to retire.
Yeah, especially since the equipment nowadays, this helmet, like, my helmet, is a lot better, better equipped to handle concussions a little bit better than the helmet back then, or the mask back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, this is an older mask, but you can just see if I open it up here and I get to talking about concussions here, but you can see the foam. The foam in here isn't really like there. It's kind of it's dense foam, but it's not really impacted. Also, this type of mask is kind of not really that great. If I could say something, primarily just because of how the material. It's actually ABS. Yeah, it's fine for a backup mask, but not for the main mask. Like I would definitely trust this mask over that one, because this mask is it's a W4, it's a wall W4, and it's an ABS composite. Like it may be plastic, but it's got a little bit more of a chemical bond in it to be a little bit stronger.
Well,
So I would trust this a lot better than that.
Being a horseback rider, I've gone through all kinds of helmets. And, seeing some of the technology that they're putting into helmets now.
Yeah,
Just to lessen
case in
impact.
point. This is a lot of modern hockey helmets nowadays. Bauer bought Mark Messier's bought Cascade Hockey. This is the Messier 11 from the M11 by Mark Messier, because he was researching. He was trying to get do better with concussion, and you could see in the padding, it's actually built more structured for concussions. I know the fact that I had. What's up?
Sorry, I was going to say it looks like it's more like where a hockey player would, if they go backwards and hit the ice.
Yes. It has the impact zone. It has more impact zones. For the helmet. I don't have an older helmet to compare, like a Cooper SK2000 or anything like that. But I could definitely tell just from putting this on compared to like a couple older helmets as well, because I even wore an older CCM. This is better protected. And of course, Bauer, like I said, bought them and has modeled, has basically taken the technology and started to use this. Concussions are no joke.
No, and the safety measures that are coming out for all of this stuff, it's just making the game more accessible for more people.
It is a double-edged sword, I will say as well, because my dad had commented about this before, and Chris, you were actually there for the conversation as well with my dad about the danger, the speed of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The material of the equipment has gotten lighter, has gotten more safe, but it's also a double-edged sword as well, because of the lightness, because of the extra the extra and the extra padding and the padding type. It is a double-edged sword because these athletes are way different than the athletes of the past 10 years, or hey, even the athletes of the past 5 years. Like these kids, and I have the right to say kids. These kids have, are better athletes. We talked about this in the Dirt and Turf podcast, Kat, about it's not a matter of if they get hurt, it's a matter of when they get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to
medicine
brag, but
has done.
yeah, sports medicine and microsurgeries have definitely advanced, but it's getting to the point where we're going to be pretty much cyborgs to continue our athletic career.
Yeah.
I of course welcome our robot overlords. Anywho, but that is so.
Sorry.
Now, what were we gonna say?
You guys were going through some signings. Do people follow whether or not a coach is going to stay, kind of like they do with baseball and football, or
Yes,
are the coaches?
So far, there hasn't been any major coaching moves that happens because normally coaches will get fired actually in the middle of the season. Normally,
I mean that happened to the Orioles this year.
There unfortunately isn't any Black Monday when it comes to coaches like there is in the NFL.
Yeah.
Primarily, it's like the NHL will pull either the MLB or NBA card, and basically, if it's not working, let's say in the span of like 2 months and they're in the doldrums, sometimes it'll just take a simple pink slip to change the culture around, and you're back up. I mean, you're back up and running.
Yeah.
Truth. It's the truth, though.
It is.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes the guy gets a little bit of a wake up call.
Not only that, but sometimes coaches have an expiration date. I mean, look at Barry Melrose.
Oh God.
He was out of the league for what? Yeah, I want to say about 13, 14 years.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, came back to coach for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he was abysmal.
Oh my God, yeah, he was horrible.
He was abysmal, and he was back. Yeah, he went back to ESPN in a week.
So they hired him, and he left and got his old job back within a week.
He was fired.
Yeah, he was fired. Then he was back behind the ESPN desk in a week.
Yikes.
He didn't quit. Realistically, he didn't quit. He tried, but the game had passed him by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's rare for like a long tenured coach now.
It's rare for there to be a Scotty Bowman in the NHL. It's rare.
See, and
Good.
That's kind of sad to me that we don't have coaches who are like, I don't know, making it for a long time, because I feel like your coach is going to be the center of the culture of your team. And if you've got a
not
coach
in the NHL.
who's winning,
not in the NHL.
Not in the NHL.
Not in the
A lot
NHL.
of these coaches,
nope.
These coaches will get fired and then they'll get hired by another team like within a week or two.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's kind of interesting. The coach isn't just a bench guy, if that makes sense. Like he's at when they're not playing a game, he is on the ice drilling them. He's skating with the team. He is actually hands on with the team.
So I couldn't be a coach, is what you're saying.
I definitely couldn't. But that's also why Paul Maurice, the coach of the Panthers, that's why he's actually kind of so young. He actually was a player who was forced to retire.
Mm.
He was a player that was forced to retire, but his coach at the time was like, dude, you got a hell of a hockey mind. I got to have you. You know?
That's a pretty good gig to get into, is the
Yeah.
coaching.
I mean, he coached the Whalers. Just that's how far back he's been coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Whalers haven't been a part of the NHL since 1996.
They're now the Hurricanes.
Yep, yeah, then they became the Hurricanes. And I think he's made it to, this was like his 5th trip to the Stanley Cup final, I think.
Fourth.
I think it's his 5th trip.
No.
Yeah, because he had, he was with the Hurricanes, then the Panthers 3 times.
And yeah, that's 4.
Yeah, because of course he ran into a similar instance that the Panthers had in '96 by running into a juggernaut.
Oh yeah, the late '90s, early 2000s Red Wings. We were not.
No, especially the 02 Red Wings because of who was in that.
Oh yeah.
Check.
I even remember the 02 Red Wings. Okay, and I knew nothing about hockey. Okay. But I remember them. Yep. Like everybody around me had Red Wings gear, and I was like, "Who's the Red Wings?" Yeah. People were like, "They're hockey."
One of the oldest franchises in the history of the sports.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that, by the way, while I was doing my research to follow Ovechkin's season.
Yeah.
They will be celebrating 100 years this season coming up.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Red Wings have reached their centennial. Anyway, guys, that I think we're gonna wrap up this off-season episode of Biscuits and Penalties, which of course our affiliate today is Duke Cannon Supply Company. July 4th is here, so July 4th is upon us next week. So you know what? Let's celebrate the freedom of smell using Duke Cannon. Obviously, I've been scrubbing it up with the Superior fragrance. Definitely one of my favorites because it is refreshing like water. Of course, they have other fragrances as well, like the Buffalo Trace Bourbon soap. They have the Heavy Grit soap for exfoliation. You know, trust me, that's a good one. They also have one that's infused with shea butter. You're very great for the skin, not gonna lie. But, don't just take my word for it. Why don't you give Duke Cannon a try? Using our affiliate link. If you order over $50, there is free shipping. And, of course, proceeds do go to veterans and veterans organizations as well. That's why we here at Handed Down Sports Media are honored to be affiliated by Duke Cannon Supply Company. We support the troops. So, Duke Cannon Supply Company, use our affiliate. Thank you. And of course, don't forget about our other podcasts as well. Speaking of listening to, we have the Dirt and Turf, our baseball podcast that we just had last night, right, Kat? We had a fun episode there. Give that a listen. We also have the Lap Down. Greg Farmer, Ryan Dyer, always on there to deliver a great show. I listen to them on occasion. They are fantastic. We're getting back to wrestling. It's going to be a bit, we're just getting all the kinks worked out and kind of running out the contract, if you will. That's the best way to say it. We're running out the contract with SSPN. So we're getting that out, so to say. We also have the Hard Count, our football podcast, our NFL football podcast, coming July 31st for the Hall of Fame game. And we also have Passing the Pigskin, our college football podcast hosted by Tyler. We are looking forward to that as well this August.
Can't wait to hop on for that one.
Yep, and we will be doing some cross-promotion as well when baseball comes to Bristol, after all, Kat. So we have to join.
So excited about that.
Yeah, we got to join the Lap Down to cross-promote with them. So that's awesome. But, it's been kind of a fun season. definitely. I will also say that I will not be the starting goaltender for Biscuits and Penalties next season because Alex, my common co-host, who has been on the show, he will be taking over the starting goaltending duties. I will be his backup, so definitely looking forward to that, seeing how he takes over the reins. He is also excited as well. But a lot of things are coming up as well for Handing Down Sports Media. But if you want to invest your time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. Yep, right down in the doobly doos. And of course, I am Cobra, and Chris and Kat. Thank you for joining me. We got to step off of the ice, and Zamboni is here. See y'all later.